you change your environment, when you change wherever you are, your opportunities change, your mindset changes, everything changes. Welcome back to The Mind Composition. My name is Bryan Blair, and I'm in Flagstaff with my good friend, Alex Mossman. How are you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
It's been 3 years since we've seen each other last.
Honestly, it feels like longer.
Really?
Yeah, with how the amount of events and changes and everything that's occurred since last time we talked versus now, it's might have been 3 years, but it feels like 30.
It's been a while, and I feel like Flagstaff has changed tremendously. You look great, you know.
I try.
Everyone has changed.
Yeah.
By the way, what's your watch make?
This is one of like the really crappy. I literally got this, I think, at like Ross for like $10 or something like that. It's my other good
Ross,
watch.
Dress for less.
Yeah.
We just did free advertising for them.
Joffrey Bean, I think. It's like literally like a $5 watch.
I had a buddy back home that bought like a watch for $12 from, I think it was Ross or Marshall's.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those high end, looks like a Rolex, had a blue face and everything. And he was going out throughout some of the parties that we were going to, and he was like, "Oh yeah, look at the Rolex, just copped it, right?" Until they saw that it was like a off-brand make, but
yeah, I have this one, and then I have another one that's like Island Joe or something, which is like another super off-brand $5 at Ross, and then I have one somewhat designer watch, which I don't really bring out too much. I cracked the face of it when I went to a party one time and need to get it fixed. It's Armani, but not too bad.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, you drove up from Phoenix to Flag to hang out and catch up, which I really appreciate you doing. But one thing I wanted to ask, so you used to live in Flagstaff. We used to do, for those of you who don't know, me and Alex used to do a lot of party promoting back in the day, 2017, 2018. We had a company called Rich Devils, which was geared more towards college students at Northern Arizona in Flagstaff, and we would put on these parties at the local bars, the clubs, and try and just promote a very healthy, encouraging party scene for everyone. And basically trying to set the party scene straight instead of like your typical frat parties. So that's like the background of how me and him met. But then you moved to Phoenix. So after I left Flagstaff, what made you move to Phoenix again?
So there was actually quite a few things. So that whole party promoting scene, it's nothing like it's cracked out to be. It's a lot of people like, oh my gosh, you get to make so much money, you get to party every weekend, you get to make all these friends, you get to do all this crazy shit. During it definitely has quite a bit of a dark side to it, which in turn, it does get you a lot into the entrepreneurial mindset, but I feel like in a lot more of a toxic way. It makes it to where your friends are no longer just your friends. Your friends are your business.
Yeah.
Anytime you're hanging out with friends, it's not just a, hey, let's grab beer, let's catch up, let's have some fun. It's, hey, come help me make some money. Come to my club. Come do this with me. Come fucking drink and do all this type of shit. And after a while, it gets fucking boring.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Partying was fun. Partying was just the thing for college. But every other weekend, it was just too much. Especially every other Saturday going and partying until 3 or 4 a.m. and repeating that cycle. And there's not a whole lot of growth just in party scenes and stuff, especially in place. Because one of the reasons why it went so well for us is because we had a monopoly here pretty much.
Yeah.
There was no other company in Flagstaff that was doing it the way they were doing it. There was other companies coming from the valley that were trying to do it, but we had the one up because of the fact that we were from here. We had the audience at NAU. Yeah. We have the audience for me growing up here, born and raised. So I have my old high school friends and stuff that I knew like to party.
Yeah.
And so
we had a niche up here, an environment to really capitalize on.
Exactly. But because we didn't have competition, it was still structured to where people were like, oh, I'm not paying $20 to get into a club that doesn't have this or doesn't have that or isn't LA or isn't Las Vegas or anything like that. Yeah. So we were kind of capped at a certain opportunity. And obviously with the pandemic, that shit went downhill really quickly because we couldn't throw any events and stuff with nobody able to go.
Yeah.
So with all that, I lost a lot of the connections I had. The personality that I had was just a toxic personality and nobody wanted to be around that. So I ended up having big fallouts with a lot of friends and stuff. A lot of other people moved out and Flagstaff was changing into something that I didn't like. If I wanted, it was basically turning into what Phoenix, what kind of already was. And I'm like, you know what, if that's how it is, why don't I just move to Phoenix? Why don't I just get out of the toxicity here and move to where it actually is? And also opportunity. For an area like Flagstaff, that kind of business was not something to thrive.
Yeah.
There were no venues and stuff that wanted to take chances on the type of events that we did. Artists couldn't come out here because...
Who would?
Yeah.
It's Flagstaff.
We had one event that happened that we had professional artists. It was amazing. We sold out. It was fucking amazing.
Prices to Rock and DMAC, right?
Correct, yeah. It was amazing. It was super fun. At that time, I didn't know how much we could price. It was the cheapest probably concert for what it was, which is probably one of the reasons why I did sell out so quickly.
Yeah.
It was to the point where even Afro Man, who is a multi-platinum artist, we outsold him in pre-sales.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. But because of the fact this is a college town, we have NEU right here, who they have a much higher budget, much better facilities to be able to host events and stuff. So we couldn't compete with that kind of market because we didn't have any venues. We have the Orpheum, but because of the type of city that Flagstaff is, it was a very tough place to do it because they don't want to take chances on rap. They don't want to take chances on pop or EDM or anything. Flagstaff is meant to be a very low-key, more like folk family type of town. It's not meant to be a college town.
Yeah.
And with NEU growing the way it was, NEU didn't, or Orpheum didn't want to keep up with that. And because of that, events couldn't happen there. And they were literally probably the only venue that we could have used here that could hold as many people. Obviously, we have the Pepsi Amphitheater, but that one, no outside promoters allowed.
Yeah.
It was only inside stuff. And so lack of opportunity, lack of connection out here, lack of networking, lack of pretty much everything. And I need a new change. Like I said, born and raised here my entire life. You kind of need to get out of that little small circle that you're in and expand to greater stuff. So that's kind of the biggest reasons why I ended up moving to the Valley.
Yeah, and you noticed a huge change in like everything. So Flagstaff coming from a
Oh
very
my
small
gosh.
town, it's like the population of Flagstaff is literally the college town. This town has a population of 60,000, I think, or 65,000.
It's up to about 70 to 75,000 now, with
Yeah.
NEU taking up about 35 to 40,000 of that.
Now, to put that into perspective, you know, where I come from, Novato, Marin County. Now, the Marin County is divided into like 20 different cities inside. Novato is a very, very tiny city. The population of Novato alone, out of the entire Marin County, is the same population of Flagstaff is as an entire city. Right. So coming from an area, you know, from San Francisco into this environment, really, it was like the opposite.
Right.
You were going from small to big. I was going from big to small. That's one of the reasons why I left.
Right.
So, but you notice going that it changed a lot in the Valley. You had now you're opened up to that bigger, you know, more. You have more a land of more opportunity. Would you say?
In a way, yes. It's physically, yes. There's a lot more opportunity. There's obviously way more venues and stuff that you can use. Especially if I were to have continued the route that I was in Flagstaff, in Phoenix, yes, there's so much more opportunity.
Yeah.
We have Tempe, which obviously ASU has, God knows, I think 100,000 plus students.
Yeah.
And Tempe is obviously the college town there, but it's also supposed to be a college town. There's nightlife to cater to it, promoting artists. They are the nightlife. They're known as one of the biggest party schools in America, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people go. But it was also moving down there that made me realize of just how toxic the entire environment was. So although it does have a lot more opportunity, you have to still be picky on the opportunity that you take down there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it sounds a lot like California.
Yeah,
it sounds a lot like it.
Like if you're in Flagstaff, if you're looking to thrive in Flagstaff, you have to be going for education, medical, or one of the other big places like Purina or Gore. If you're going for anything else, you're not going to thrive here whatsoever.
Yeah, definitely.
But for Phoenix, obviously, it has pretty much everything. If you're looking for music, there's recording studios out there. They have a few different record labels and stuff. Obviously, it's nothing like LA or anything like that. It's where you're not just going to be the next Halsey or G-Eazy or something like that. But it does have a little. It's the stepping stone. It's, for me, I'm definitely more the entertainment industry with acting, modeling, music, all that kind of stuff. And Phoenix is by far way better than Flagstaff, but it's still not what you want if you are looking to be an artist of that.
Yeah, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I felt when I moved from San Francisco to Flag for my first year of college. the exact reason why I left was because the town's too small. There's not much going on here.
Right.
You're not going to make anything big, right?
Right.
Places like California, San Francisco already have an experience working with some of these bigger companies and agents. You'll know, like, it's going from that to this. It's just I couldn't do it. So you know, when you, and I'm a huge believer in when you change your environment, when you change wherever you are, your opportunities change, your mindset changes, everything changes. You can't really do. I mean, you can. You know, it's going to take a lot of hard work and effort and a lot of banging down door connections.
Oh yeah.
But when you change your environment from something like, not talking bad about Flagstaff, but a very limited opportunity city like this, to something bigger, you're going to have a lot more open doors. So the industries that you and I are in, we're both in, or at least, you know, like trying to be in the entertainment industry. Like I'm more in, like, you know, creative and modeling and directing. You're getting into like the acting. So actually, you and me are like hand in hand. You're trying to get into acting. I'm the one behind the camera.
Right.
People like you and me are going to work together a lot.
Yeah. And
so,
I do stuff behind the camera, in front of the camera.
Yeah. And you're also a photographer as well, right?
Yeah. I do.
So
I started behind the camera, so with videography and photography. But even with that, for somewhere like here, you would think like, oh, there's colleges. You could do senior portraits. You could do all that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with being in a place like Flagstaff, it's already an oversaturated market because of how small it is. There's already like 2 or 3 photographers that are the go-tos for everybody. It doesn't matter. Like, obviously, if you went to college or you have a bunch of friends, you could try to do that. But either way, those people are going to move out to other cities. So that's one of the reasons, like, you can't even be a photographer in a place like this because it's already an oversaturated market because of how small it is.
Yeah, literally.
So, but yeah, like being behind the camera to being in front of the camera, it's kind of the same thing, and yeah, it definitely works a lot better hand in hand stuff.
Okay, so you're getting into acting a lot more, which is really good. And I remember you asking me this a while ago about getting more into it. I can open the doors, you know, to some of the people that I'm working with. So you're in Phoenix right now, trying to get to a bigger industry like LA. So now you went to small. You went from small to medium. Now you're trying to get to like extra large because LA is massive, right? Yeah. Like, what are some things that you are, I guess, I don't want to use the word intimidated of. I don't want to use the word afraid of. But what are some things that kind of like you see as challenges when you get into that industry?
There's actually a lot. So I've been doing acting for quite some time. Professionally, not for a whole lot of time, but in high school I did some acting. When I did some time in college, I did some theater and stuff. Obviously, being around cameras, you have to kind of learn how to direct people, and acting along with that. YouTube, I used to have YouTube channels and stuff, so I've been doing it for a little while. It is so much different today than it was even 10 years ago because of what we have today. Yeah. These days, it's not just about how good you are in front of the camera. You can't just be Leonardo DiCaprio and get everything. Even, like, because I'm reading Greenlight's Matthew McConaughey, he even talks about how, like, he was living with one of his buddies who knew a director who he showed what he could do, and boom, instantly was in one film that led to another, which led to another, which led to another, and boom. Yeah. These days, it's not just about that. The movie industry is lazy as shit. Clearly. They take TikTokers and YouTubers and these other people that have these brands and stuff, but they don't have brands because they're good at acting. They have these brands because they're thirst traps, and they have a pretty face, and people, obviously, sex sells. That's the biggest thing. Sex sells, which is one thing that the movie industry doesn't realize, the fact that these guys don't have a good following because of what they can do. They have it because of the fact that they are attractive and they know how to sell
It's
sex.
A facade. It's a facade. And the second that it comes to showing a skill that's not involving looks or a face,
they completely lack it.
They completely fail and they completely fall apart.
Exactly.
Because they do not have the skills to be a real actor or a real model. I mean, modeling really is acting, and it's
telling a story in a picture.
Exactly.
It's being able to put on an expression that somebody who's looking at the photograph, they can look at that and be like, that person's feeling this emotion. It's basically an entire story summed up into one photograph.
Exactly.
So it's completely like acting.
It's story to everything in the creative and the industries that you and I are in. Is storytelling. Yeah. And it always will be storytelling, but you need to have good storytellers, and you need to have good people that are able to tell that story. Yeah. So as in, like, the actors part of it. So you got the ones that create the story, you got the ones that portray the story. And nowadays it's like you get so wrapped up in comparing yourself to so many people that are on TikTok because of their following, the way that they look. Look at 16-year-olds. When I was 16, they looked like rats.
Well,
now everyone's looking like they're 25 years old and they're like 13, 14, 15 years old.
Well, and it's not just with that kind of stuff. It also has to do with money.
That's a big part of it.
A lot of people, they want to argue with like, oh, you don't have money, you get into this. With this, that is one of the fastest ways you can blow up on social media is by having money. And oh, I just gave $1 million to a homeless guy.
I'm giving away a Tesla. Share this link.
Exactly. They have the money to be able to do these outrageous things, and that's how they can build a following. Or the fact that they're like with Addison Rae. That's prime example for me right now because of the fact that she went from just doing lip syncing videos and dancing. I say dancing because it's not actual fucking dancing. There's no choreography behind it. There's no skill. There's no effort. It's literally just doing the most simple stuff, but she has a pretty face and a nice body. So she can sell that, which is one of the ways that she blew up. Her entire fucking family is attractive as shit, but they also come from a fuck ton of money. They have money to be able to put her in these classes, to do acting classes. They have money to be able to make her look better, and she doesn't have to have this 9-to-5 job on the side. She can dedicate her entire life to building the social media, to building these TikTok videos and stuff of looking good. And that's pretty much her entire life. But because of that, people like Netflix picked her up, and she just released a movie yesterday. The reviews that I saw in that video proved everything to me. I went on Rotten Tomatoes, that has 32% on Rotten Tomatoes. I looked at all of the critics and stuff on there. All of them say, this is an overplayed TikTok. There's no chemistry between them. There's no cinematography skills behind this. There's nothing good about this. This is literally made for TikTok generation. Most of them like, oh, man, it was okay during it, but it's one of those things where you take a bite out of it 5 seconds after the film, the fuck did I just watch?
Right.
I don't remember anything that happened about it. It has a couple of good actors like Tanner Buchanan, who he's not a social media star. He was from Cobra Kai and stuff, but he's a phenomenal actor. Yeah. He can portray stuff, but because it has actors like that, but it has people like Addison Rae. Addison Rae cannot act for shit that I can see.
I agree.
I haven't watched the movie, but from what I've seen on there, there's too much expression. There's too much like, oh, you're supposed to act this way. Okay, oh my gosh.
Right? It's
like, okay, you're condensed down to a scream. She's good for theater acting at that point, but not good for something like being on camera. You're not supposed to go crazy out and freak out like crazy unless that's a psycho character, which her character is not supposed to be a psycho character. Her character is someone who is a prom queen and who had a boyfriend cheat on her, and she takes a bet to make the loser of the school into a prom king. That's literally the entire thing of it. Yeah. Where in that do you see her as portrayed as the psychotic, emotional character? That's not how it's supposed to be. Yeah. And because of shit like that, it is difficult for people like me because I don't like portraying someone I'm not.
See, I've always been the one that asks this question when I see this all the time. San Francisco, LA, I live in the capital of people that try to be someone that they're not. Mm-hmm. So, and I always ask, why do they do that? Like literally, why are you trying to be some? Yeah, right. No, that's what sells. I mean,
it's a fantasy that other people see, and that's what sells because that's the fantasy.
Well, beyond of like what sells, like why do they have to seek that way? There's other ways to get out there that sells just as good, sometimes if not better, than completely putting on a facade that actually can grow you genuinely, if that makes sense, right?
It's because that's not how people normally act, and that's what sells it on people.
They grow up in the environment where they compare themselves, and then they're surrounded by this.
Exactly.
Someone that grows up in Flagstaff is not going to do this. Yeah. Someone that grows up in New York or LA or San Francisco, you're damn well going to catch them on some TV show that's trying to portray a facade. They're trying to grow big on TikTok because what they can shake their ass in front of a million viewers.
Guys.
That's it. Guys too. They're just as bad, if not worse.
For the guys that I see on there, it's typically, even if they come from a small town, it's because they've had money to go to college and not have to work. They get to focus solely on sports and bodybuilding and making themselves look good. And that was one of the things I didn't have. I did go to college for a little bit, but the balancing and juggling I would have had to do, it wasn't worth it because I care about my emotional and mental stuff way more than anything else. Yeah. And that was one of the biggest things because I see on these TikToks and everything, these guys that are bodybuilders and stuff, they look fucking gorgeous. But at the same time, if you look at their things, they use mommy and daddy's money. They have full ride scholarships because even high school, they didn't have to work in high school. Sports was their thing. So it completely stems down from middle school and up of where money takes place.
Right.
And that is one of the things that does make it a lot harder. Because for me, I don't come from money at all. I come from poor.
Yeah.
Dirt ass fucking poor. And because of that, I didn't have the ability to do sports in high school. I was working since I was 12 years old at jobs. And
from the years I've known you, you've been bouncing around on your own. You didn't really have too much of a parent figure in your life.
No. And because
you didn't really have a direction in your life. You're doing this on your own.
Yeah. And I'm not one to express things on social media.
Yeah.
And because of that, I don't know how to have the personality to sell on social media. But that's what does get into these other careers, because that's what these directors look like. They look into the things and like, oh, if we have Addison Rae, she has 10 million followers on each one of her platforms. It's going to make us money. All these dollar figures, because they're like, even if 1/10 of those people see, that's going to be 1 million people for that night. Boom, we just made it back every cent that we put into this plus more.
It's all money motivated, because coming from a TikTok perspective, now this might be a little bit, I'm going to get a little bit personal with the stats on this just to prove a point, okay? Yeah. So TikTok, I get paid, to make TikTok videos. Everybody that is over a certain amount of following is in the creator fund, and they get paid to make certain TikTok videos, right? So there was a video that I posted a while ago about a literal waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
And it went viral. 18, 19, 20 million views, right? And it shot my page up, and then more videos started going viral, right? Right, but then, okay, so look at my page versus like somebody else's, for example. And I don't want to come this off as comparing, but a lot of other TikTokers' pages, girls and guys, will follow these specific trends. Most likely it's in a seductive sexual way, okay, just to get views, right?
Oh, yeah.
To get what? Money, right? For instance, that video, it ranges, okay, but a video that has around 15 million views will make about $1,000 or so on TikTok, right? So they do this to get to follow these seductive trends, because you're right, sex sells, right? What's the motivator behind it? If I shake my ass in front of a camera, I'll make $1,000, right, per video. Guy's perspective, if I do this to trigger people, to make them share it or get a lot of views, then I'm gonna get X amount of money. It's all like that. And then it's
a negativity, controversy, and sex.
It's
those are the
promoting literally like the devil's advocates as far as like that in this world, and that is what's corrupting a lot of people our age.
I think, and one of my biggest things, especially with TikTok, that directors and producers and all the people in the big industry don't realize is the algorithm for these apps is so all over the place.
Oh, 100%. It's
for
a hit or miss.
You should be even higher. You had that one video that amassed millions of views, and now you're back down to the tens of thousands.
Yeah, I know. Hit or miss.
And
hit or miss.
Because of that, and obviously it's like engagement. It's like a snowball. More people like it, it's going to get shared more. It's going to go out. TikTok doesn't have a discernible algorithm that's like, oh, if I follow this, I'm going to be able to do this. Or if I've seen people that have over 3 million followers on there. Each one of their videos on YouTube does have a more discernible algorithm, because if you go on there, these people that have 10 million plus subscribers on YouTube, they release something and immediately within 24 to 48 hours, they have millions of views.
Yeah.
With TikTok, that's nowhere near the case. You can have 10 million people, but then have a week straight of getting 10 views on your videos, because like obviously there's going to be the people that were notified, oh, hey, this person uploaded. Yeah. But it doesn't actually go out to the people unless you use their specific algorithm for that day, which could be a sound, which could be a hashtag, which could be, there was literally one guy that was trying to do the algorithm, and he put on the hashtags and then he put sounds. Each week it would fluctuate between, oh, does hashtags work better, or does sounds work better, or does this work better, or does this trend work better?
Yeah.
And each time it was different. And that's the big issue and stuff. And that's why I'm honestly kind of waiting until the decline of that happens, and these music producers, or not music producers, but like these producers and stuff are looking like, oh, just because I have this many people doesn't mean it at all. Like obviously the Jake Paul fights and all these type of other fights and stuff, they're going to amass a huge following, but it's also going to take away from the authenticity. That fakeness can only ride for so long. It's going to be good for now, and that's what the producers are chasing.
Sooner or later, all fakes will be exposed.
Yes. And you just have to let it ride, because right now, boxing, yes, it's a fake sport right now.
Yeah.
Obviously there is real stuff in it, but even the real fighters are going to the fake stuff. Eventually, it will go back to finally being authentic again once they start seeing, like, I'm not paying $50 for pay-per-view to view a YouTuber who had 2 weeks of training to go out and fight some guy for $1 million. It's just not going to happen anymore, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So the whole industry is just fucked right now.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my summary of that.
I agree on that. So what I notice on TikTok most that I hate is everybody's trying to just chase after the golden carrot with the trends, and they're not really getting anywhere. See, TikTok is rapid growth, first of all. YouTube, Instagram, we're leaving out of this because me and Instagram are not on speaking terms right now. I'm over them.
I've never been on speaking terms with Instagram.
YouTube is strong growth. TikTok is rapid growth,
It's
right?
strong, but it's difficult.
Very difficult. See, YouTube, you could post 1,000 videos and grow like 100 subscribers. TikTok, you could post 1,000 videos and grow like a couple million, right? And it doesn't.
But
it
it's
only
not going
takes
to be
us
a
one.
steady decline. It's going to be instantly, and then it's going to go right back down, and then you have to wait for another viral video to go
it's
back
literally
up.
it's like a stock chart. It goes up and down like that. So
and
I
then
mean,
YouTube, it's definitely obviously the people, your audience is a lot more dedicated to you.
yeah,
But to get that audience, it's very hard to be put on the trending page or to be put. It's not. There's no For You page on YouTube, which is why it's a lot harder to get the exposure and to. There's a lot more marketing and stuff you have to do, and a lot more of like how to get myself out there.
110%, dude.
But once you do have it, it's a very discernible thing. That's why these YouTubers are fucking paid the amount of money they are, because of the fact that when they do get that high, it's worth it.
I know.
They can have 3 million subscribers as long as they stay in that niche and maybe evolve, not change. I don't want to say change because obviously you can't change or you lose everyone, but evolve.
Yeah.
That's how you keep it going. But I mean, even then, you see the YouTubers that were popular 5 years ago, Nigahiga or fucking Smosh, any of those people that were like the top people, even PewDiePie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen PewDiePie on the trending page in months, if not maybe even a year.
Yeah.
I look at the trending page every single day pretty much on YouTube to see what's trending. None of it, it is still Minecraft stuff, but none of it's the same people that were on there 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so
it changes over the years as time goes on.
Yeah.
And social media itself, that topic is a huge topic that actually you and me are gonna talk about in another episode. We're gonna talk about social media because that one itself. And I'm gonna do that with I'm gonna do that with multiple people.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, the point of, you know, at least with this specific episode was just to show like how the environment of anyone growing up in certain environments, that changes you. Like in growing up in a city, you're gonna have
Which
a lot
I
more of
haven't
that
even
influence,
completely
right?
talked about that entirely either.
Well, I mean, we
Like-
kind of have in a little bit because when you think
A
about
little
it,
bit,
like
yeah.
when these people growing up in the cities that are trying to chase that status, they're trying to chase that following, right? You're going to catch that in California. You're going to catch that in bigger cities. You're not going to catch someone doing these, you know, huge, big trends and, you know, in smaller cities, if that makes sense. So
The biggest thing though is it changes everybody so much more than I realized. Like even people that came from here and moved to Phoenix, the mindset, everything changes. Like I was an extremely sociable person here.
Yeah.
Every single weekend hanging out with friends, every single weekend doing something with people. Now, I get lucky if I do it maybe even once a week. Everything is completely just you. Like I've discerned it almost to where Flagstaff is where I go to hang out, have fun. Phoenix is work.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that I don't have that fake mindset, or not even fake mindset, but the artificialness that a big city brings onto you, or the partiness, or anything like that.
So your environment like really defines what you are, what you
said,
become, and where you go from there.
It all depends on who you're around. Bigger cities have the more personality, more
100%.
fakeness. Everyone around you in a big city will be wearing Gucci, Louis Vuitton, have that, oh, I'm this status, I'm so much higher type of shit. Like
At
here,
San Francisco,
Yeah.
literally. Like
or
it's
even in Tempe. I go to
Yeah.
Tempe. The clubs there are not multi-millionaire clubs. The clubs there are not elegant, nice. You wear a suit and tux and everything
Yeah.
like that. The clubs there are, we can go like this and perfectly be fine. But at the same time, you're going to see these people wearing $20 million worth of clothes and chains and stuff. That's their entire income that they're wearing. It's not the fact that they're rich as shit. It's the fact that
they're wearing their bank account.
yeah, they're wearing their entire bank account, but that's the personality that they have. In order to fit in with that, you need to have that too.
Yeah.
I don't, which is why I don't fit in with that.
That's why.
And so it's a very, very difficult thing, especially if you don't have that personality already, or you're not. I don't fit in with people like that. I've tried going to those parties, meeting those people, but I can't do it because there'll be one way to you in front of you, but then behind your back they're a completely different person because like, oh well, I want to go have fun, party, and do all this because I'm going to be involved with these other party promoters who are high end. Until they realize that these party promoters don't give a shit about them. They give a shit about money. They give a shit about their own clout. They don't give a shit about these other girls and stuff that are with them. And then finally, years and years after they're done with that, they're gonna be like, what did I do? I just spent all this time trying to make a name for myself. I just pretty much just partied away everything.
Yeah, right.
There's a reason why even like Dwayne Wade, I was listening to my own podcast on Dwayne Wade, and they were saying it was Dax Shepard's podcast, and the guy was talking about how Dwayne Wade's roommate in college, they were obviously on the basketball team and stuff. Him and his roommates, or him and his team and stuff, like his team would obviously go and party and everything.
Yeah.
Instead of partying every single weekend, Dwayne Wade would go to the gym and work. That's the reason why Dwayne Wade is one of the all-time greatest basketball players in probably history now. Because he didn't go and party and stuff with the rest of his crew, because he went and worked on himself like that.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with that. Yeah. Change your environment, you'll be able to change yourself for the better.
Exactly.
So we'll wrap this one down. We have another topic coming up about social media, which is a huge one, and I'm excited to dive into that one.
Very
So,
much so.
Thank you guys again for tuning in to this episode of The Mind Composition. Again, my name is Bryan Blair, and this is Alex Mossman. We will catch you guys on the next one. Remember, you can listen to these on Apple and Spotify, hopefully SoundCloud soon, and then you can watch the full-length videos on YouTube and Instagram. So with that being said, have a great day, and I'll see you guys later.